must be the greatest. I told the world, I thought the God ever gave. The best ever.
Welcome to the DL Boxing Podcast. I am your host, Coach D, along with co-host Bad Chaz and neighborhood hero Ryan Rios, where we talk about the sport you and I love, boxing. This is episode 38. Thank you guys for tuning in. Bad Chaz, let him know what's on tap, brother.
Oh, you know what? We're going to talk about the fight recap, and it's going to talk about the fights that took place on DAZN and Showtime, so you guys stay tuned.
Yeah, and great fights that they were.
Yeah.
Neighborhood hero Ryan Rios, what else do we have on tap for them, man?
Also, fight week, we got the return of Edgar Berlanga.
Yep.
I want to see what he does. And then also my favorite fighter, Professor Franco, is going to be in action too.
Yeah, that rematch with the Ioka, man. We can't wait for that.
Right.
Well, guys, it's time to recap the fights that happened last weekend. Let's start off with the DAZN card, where we had Alejandra La Rockera Guzman score an emphatic 8th round knockout over previously unbeaten Ramla Ali. And man, guys, this was a great women's fight. It had everything. It had drama. It had just the KO that we rarely see in women's boxing, right? Bad Chaz, what'd you think of that awesome fight, man?
Oh, you know what, man? I turned on the fights just because, wanted to watch the main event later that night. And I just had the TV on, and I'm watching this fight between the two girls, between Guzman and Ali. And I'm like, man, this is an entertaining fight. They're back and forth, and it started that way from the beginning of the first round. And just watching that fight, it felt like it was pretty 50-50. I think that there was a knockdown in the third round, but just watching that fight, they were both in that fight, but it seemed like Guzman just had a little more pop or a little more sit down in her shot, you know what I mean? And ultimately kind of breaking down Ali.
Yeah, and I think Guzman landed that overhand right in the 5th round that rocked Ali and knocked her down. But good review there, Bad Chaz. Neighborhood hero Ryan Rios, like I mentioned, this fight, they both had like a game plan. They were hitting the body. They were fighting off the jab. It just looked like boxing to me, man, and I loved every second of that fight. How'd you feel watching that fight, man?
Same way. They both look polished to me, and like you said in the very beginning, man, they started opening up quick. And you know what? Like, it was weird because, like you said, you don't really see a whole lot of women, like just with that power and just knocking each other out. But for this fight, for some reason, they started off fast. And I'm like, man, there might be a knockout, and there was, man. And it was just a great fight, man. And I would like to see it again. But yeah, man, it was an excellent fight, and I applaud both women for that fight, man.
Yeah, nicely said. Congratulations to Alejandra Guzman on your knockout victory. All right, guys, let's talk about the main event, which featured WBC Jr Welterweight Champion Regis Prograis. He scored a split decision over 12 rounds over Danielito Zorrilla. And what can I say, neighborhood hero Ryan Rios? If styles make fights, then both of their styles just kind of countered each other out, and we were left with not many punches thrown or landed, right?
Yeah, you know what? They were both counter punchers, man. And when you have two counter punches, you're either like countering the counter or you just back off. And, I want to say Regis tasted Danielito's power in the first round. Yep. Mm-hmm. So it was like Regis kind of like, just stuck to his game plan of being that counter puncher, but he never was able to get off because Danielito was always just setting him up for a big shot. And Regis always kind of like seen it coming. He always seen that hand locked and loaded, and Regis didn't want to fight fire with fire. He played it smart and very close fight, man. And I could have given it to either fighter, and I just didn't see Regis do what he normally does, and that's maul the opponent, and that's just go in and just take your willpower away and just overcome anything that other opponent has. Regis does, and he didn't do that for me. It was just a stagnant win, and hopefully it's a good look for him because maybe some other fighters that want to challenge Regis are like, okay, I can fight with this guy, I can scrap with this guy. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, we'll see, but it just kind of a boring fight for me.
It was, and some may say it was a lackluster performance for Prograis, like we mentioned. But with 4 weeks of preparation, Bad Chaz, for Zorrilla, not a bad performance, right, on his part.
No, not
keeping
at all.
Prograis at length, making Prograis fall short with his shots. Like, it looked like he was falling short by like 5 feet, and deterred him, right?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think, man?
You know what? Just kind of stale, kind of a boring fight. You know, I think Regis, you know, he just had a hard time kind of cutting off the ring and kind of getting in there to bang with him. You know, you've seen multiple times where his jab was short, you know, but Zorrilla, you know, he just, he did well by kind of circling him around him. You know, he would pop shot him, you know, one or two here and there, and then kind of circle back around him, take it back to the middle of the ring. And man, it's almost like he turned that into his fight that night. You know what I mean? And Regis kind of had to fight the way that he was presenting it to him. But like you said, you know, you got two counter punchers, and I think that's what kind of made it kind of a little more on the boring side. I think that I'm going to give, you know, Prograis, you know, the benefit of the doubt. I think that if there's there's probably a better style out there that'll be more entertaining to kind of benefit, you know, Prograis, you know what I mean, when we're watching him on TV and stuff, to kind of basically look like, you know, he belongs there, you know what I mean, and he is a little more competitive than how that fight took place.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he won't give Zorrilla a rematch.
Yeah.
But with that said, I guess the positive for Prograis is, like you said, like he'll be able to hopefully get fights now, right?
Yeah.
People won't, you know, think twice about facing him now. They see a chink in the armor, or they might now they might be willing to face him now. But nonetheless, congratulations to Regis Prograis on your split decision victory. All right, guys, let's talk about the main event, which we saw on Showtime, and that was none other than Tszyu, who retained his interim WBO Jr middleweight title against Carlos Ocampo. And boy, did he dispatch Ocampo in round one, knocking him out. What can I say? Neighborhood hero Ryan Rios, Tszyu landed that 1-2, shook Ocampo, and it was from there, it was downhill for Ocampo. How'd you see that short night, man?
You know what? I thought this was going to be a good stay busy fight, you know, for Tszyu. And I remember Ocampo fought Sebastian Fondura.
Yeah.
And it was just a close fight, you know, like, and honestly, I want to say, like, Ocampo just took everything that Sebastian had to offer.
Right.
But man, he couldn't stand there with Tszyu and trade, man. He took some shots early on, and it just rocked Ocampo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Tszyu just never let off, dude. He just kept going, and he knew he was on a mission, dude, and that was just to look impressive, dude, and he did. And man, dude, he looks like he's a real deal. And man, if anything, dude, I'm leaning towards him on the Charlo fight now.
Right. He did make a big statement with this first round knockout over Ocampo. He just totally blitzed him, Bad Chaz. And I felt bad for Ocampo. I was telling you guys earlier, man, I felt bad for Ocampo because, you know, his bid against Errol Spence, kind of the same thing, right? He got stopped in the first round. But like Neighborhood Hero just mentioned, Bad Chaz, the two fights that we've seen Tszyu, Harrison, I think it was Harrison, and now Ocampo, you know, the two big knockout victories. The gap between him and the champion Jermell Charlo has now become smaller, and like you said, now he's favoring Tszyu. I'm almost there too, man. He's looking good. What do you think about Tszyu's chances with Jermell Charlo, man?
Oh, I think that they're great, man. And like you said, they're just inching their way closer and closer. It's just, you know, that division, you know what I mean? It's kind of like on standby until, you know, some of the people at the top tier can kind of commit to some fights so that the rest of the people in the division can kind of move forward. You know, I think Tszyu, you know, he went in there, he was a straight killer. You know, I wanted to kind of see a little more from him. Like, I wanted to see rounds, you know, I wanted to see more rounds from him to kind of just to kind of get to know him, you know what I mean, a little more, and see how he kind of unfolds and advances and stuff. But I think, man, just to kind of go in there and make that impression on that division by getting a first round knockout was just beautiful, and that's exactly what he needed.
Exactly. And it was funny. Tszyu posted a picture of himself after the fight. I think he was fishing. It was kind of funny, like, you know, after fight activities.
Oh, nice.
Fishing. So, he had an easy day, you know, in the office. So, but congratulations, Tszyu, on your first round knockout. All right, guys, it's fight week. All right, guys, let's preview the fights that are coming up this weekend. And featuring, let's look at the fight from DAZN. It's the main event. We have Edgar Berlanga, 20-0 with 16 knockouts. He will be facing Jason Quigley in a 10-round fight. Quigley is 20-2 with 14 knockouts. This will be at the theater at Madison Square Garden. So a big venue for Edgar Berlanga, which is kind of impressive. Early in his career, he's already, you know, putting up fights in, you know, such a big venue. Bad Chaz, Edgar Berlanga has been under, you know, scrutiny, you know, recently.
Right.
Lackluster performances and, you know, going from Top Rank now to, is it Matchroom Boxing now with Hearn?
Eddie Hearn.
Yeah, Eddie Hearn. So what does Edgar look to do here in this fight to kind of,
capitalize on a second
Right.
chance? You know what I
Yep.
mean? I mean, he got to sign with Matchroom, that kind of got released from Top Rank or however that happened. But I think that this is another opportunity that he needs to take full advantage of. Like you mentioned, he's so young in his career, but he was able to sell out Madison Square Garden. And I mean, I think this is a good fight for him to kind of go back in there and make an impression so that he can win the fans over again. Because there is some kind of, some things that we weren't real happy with seeing his fans. The way that he what he did whenever he, I think he bit the other fighter or
Attempted
something.
to,
Or attempted to. And, that's just unprofessional. So I think that we would like to see a little more professionalism from him and kind of go in there and get a nice, decent win.
Yeah, good set. Second chance neighborhood hero Ryan Rios. Jason Quigley, not a bad fighter. I know one of his losses was a quick loss to Boo Boo Andrade, but he does have a victory over Shane Mosley Jr., I believe. Break down this fight, man. What are some key things Berlanga needs to do to take out Quigley?
You know what? Like you guys mentioned, like Edgar Berlanga has a lot of question marks. You know what I mean? Yeah, that power is there, and he's definitely has that controlled aggression, which I like to call. But Jason Quigley's no pushover, man. Like he beat Sugar Shane Mosley Jr., and he's a decent fighter, and he's been coming on strong.
Yeah.
So Quigley has to just keep Berlanga at bay. You know what I mean? Let him tire himself out, let him punch himself out and make it a fight. Because if not, Edgar Berlanga is going to go in there with power and speed, and that youth is always a huge advantage. And if Edgar Berlanga can impose his will, he's going to get Jason Quigley out of there quick. But if not, it could be a long boxing night. And if it's going to be a boxing match, Quigley has an advantage. So it's hard to say where this fight can go. It could go either direction. It could be a quick fight or it could be a long night for Berlanga. But I think Berlanga wins. I think he does it like he's going to look impressive, and I think he gets Quigley out of there in maybe the first 3-4 rounds. Yeah. And hopefully, like you said, he earns our respect back, and he acts like a gentleman in there, and he proves us wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we'll see where it goes, but I'm looking forward to this fight. I'm glad he's back, man.
Yeah, well said, brother. Yeah, Jason Quigley, I think he just got to not show him too much respect, right? Like you said, there's a lot of question marks on Berlanga. If Quigley, he's got to have that will to win. And, hey, you never know what could happen when you believe in yourself and take the fight to your opponent, man. But I think the matchmakers know what they're doing here. So, it's a fight for Berlanga to look good, but we'll see. Don't miss Edgar Berlanga versus Jason Quigley on DAZN. All right, guys, let's also preview a fight that started off the year really. This was actually a New Year's Eve fight, but on over here in the States, I think we watched it after midnight. So it was the first fight of the year, and I'm talking about Joshua the Professor Franco versus Kazuto Ioka. They battled over 12 rounds in Tokyo, and the first fight ended up in a draw. Disappointing draw. I thought Franco actually did enough to pull off that fight. In that first fight, Kazuto Ioka was actually a champion, but he has since vacated his belt. So now this rematch is only for Franco's WBA Jr Bantamweight title. So the rematch is set, guys. It's time to settle the score. Neighborhood hero Ryan Rios, how do you see the rematch going?
You know what? I'm looking forward to this fight. Like you said, I thought Franco won that last fight. And you know what? As of late, people have been asking me, like, who's your favorite fighter? And without hesitation, I'd tell him Professor Franco. Just for the fact how he is inside the ring, outside the ring. I get a chat with him. Just humble dude, respectful dude. Has his mind in the right place. And, I think Professor Franco goes back and looks at that film because I've seen it 2 or 3 times. And the more I watch it, the more he wins to me. Yeah. And I think he sees what he does right, what he does wrong. He's that smart. He's going to make some adjustments, and he's going to go out and make sure there's no doubt. And he's going to win. And hopefully he gets a big payday, man, because he deserves it. He's going over there. He's fighting. He's putting his belt on the line with really nothing in return. So... that's a class act again.
Yeah, I'm sure he's getting the lion's share. Like you said, he is the champion. Ioka is now the challenger. He's going back to Tokyo. He's the defending champion. But what I liked about the first fight, Bad Chaz, was that Professor Franco closed out the show in nice fashion, taking it to Ioka. And but unfortunately, the judges, saw it the way they saw it, a draw. But what could Franco take away from the first fight?
Oh, you know what? Just to kind of go back to the drawing board, you know what I mean, and just kind of make some small adjustments. And he doesn't really need to make too many adjustments. I think that he did a great job. And Franco already had an extra gear and you know, compared to that other guy, Ioka.
Yeah.
And I just think that, you know, it's going to be the same thing this fight, but I think that Franco's just going to be just a little more polished and just kind of know what he needs to kind of do to go in there to where it doesn't like really, you know, leave any doubt or any question mark behind it, especially whenever he's going all the way over there and he's working against he's not just fighting him, he's fighting their commission too. And I think that, you know, he needs to go in there and start fast, you know what I mean, and just take it to him. And I think he's going to be ready.
Yeah, well said, Batchez. I expect Franco to pull this off. He's going to be ready. He's just going to, you know, pull from that experience from the first fight, you know what worked and just do more of that. And hopefully he leaves no doubt so that he doesn't have to have a trilogy against Ioka, right? But all the best, Professor Franco. I'm sure you'll get it done, man. Do not miss Joshua Franco versus Kazuto Ioka. All right, guys, it's time to talk about the current events in boxing. Well, guys, the hot topic currently is who is Canelo Alvarez going to fight in September, Mexican Independence Weekend. And, man, it's been kind of disappointing. Some of the negotiations that Canelo is trying to give these fighters. First, it was, first it was Bivol, but he declined because I believe Canelo wanted the same terms, same agreements from the first fight, which, I mean, Bivol beat you that first fight. How do you expect him to accept the very same terms?
Right.
I'm guessing money-wise and everything, if he beat you, right? Hey, Bivol saying, hey, I beat you, I'm the man, right?
Right.
These numbers have to change. So that fight fell through. And then he's looking at, Canelo's like, I want to go for the cruiserweight title. And he's looking at WBC champion Badu Jack. I believe cruiserweight, I believe is 190 or 200 pounds. Do you guys know? It's something like that. I think it's
more
200
than
pounds.
180.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so he's trying to negotiate with Badu Jack saying, hey, come down to 180 and also a rehydration clause and we'll fight for your title. Badu Jack's like, no, man, that's crazy. I mean, to me, it's like hearing these kind of clauses and negotiations, it feels like Canelo's trying to be like, you know, bigger than boxing.
Right.
Like always trying to have some sort of deal set in place for him to have, a shot at winning and trying to make legacy in a negotiable manner. I don't know, man. But it left a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm thinking, like, is this why maybe many people, you know, kind of talk bad about Canelo in his negotiations? Because if you want the cruiserweight title, you got to go up there to his division and take his title, right?
Right.
I mean, you can't be finding, you know, meet me at this weight, and you know, if I beat you at this weight, you know, I take your title. I don't know. Thoughts on that, guys?
I just, you know what, I totally agree with everything you're saying. I think that, you know, Canelo, he's just the A side. He's the big face of boxing. So, you know, he's kind of trying to capitalize, you know, and kind of go in and get some fighters from different divisions, you know, so that he can go in there and win that belt in that division. But he knows that he's the A side. He knows that, hey, if I present a deal and we can make a big money payday off of this, like, why wouldn't they take it? It's life-changing money, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, you know, you got Jack who said no. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just ridiculous. And I mean, we've seen it with Ryan Garcia Tank, the whole rehydration clause. I just think that the whole topic of rehydration clause right now is real sensitive. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that it's kind of backfiring on him a little bit. So I just think that you know, he's kind of running out of options, and I think everybody else, even some of the fighters, they're just like, no, you need to fight David Benavidez. Which
is funny, yeah. And I'm a big Canelo fan, right?
Same here.
But hearing that kind of rubbed me wrong. Like, hey, you're the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. You got fighters in your division that people are clamoring for you to fight. And of course, I'm talking about, like you mentioned, David Benavidez, #1 contender. He's there, undefeated. He would add to your legacy. Why aren't you making a fight with David Benavidez? Why are you looking at Bivol at light heavyweight, Badu Jack at cruiserweight, but at a catchweight? You know, you have even David Morrell Jr. In other words. And then he's like, I've heard negotiations with Jermall Charlo, who hasn't fought since 2021 of June 2021. So that's over 2 years. And he's not a super middleweight. He fights at middleweight. So again, Canelo trying to find the advantage again. You know what I'm saying? It's like, the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, man, that's not cool. You have fighters in your own division in which you hold all the belts in, and yet you don't want to make fights with the people in there. Neighborhood Hero and Real thoughts.
Yeah, you know what? I like to give Canelo a benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? I don't know what's said or what's been written or what you guys seen, but I haven't really seen a whole lot. But like you guys touched on, Canelo's the guy, dude. He's the face of boxing. And it's nice for him to explore his options and see what's out there, because I don't really think Canelo at this point is going to face any no names. He's going to, have an opponent that has a good face behind it, and it's going to be exciting, and we're all going to want to watch it. And as soon as all that's set in stone, then I'll look and see what stipulations are in there for the other fighter. But right now, I give Canelo the benefit of the doubt. Whatever Canelo wants to do, I'm excited to see it. You know what I mean? I know they're talking about September 16th. I'll be in Vegas that weekend. I'm going to go see Manag in Vegas. So hopefully he fights in Vegas, man. It doesn't matter who he's fighting or what stipulations are there. I'm going to watch that fight. I'm going to go to that fight.
Yeah, for me, it does matter, brother. Just because, we talk with our money, right? I mean, like I said, if it's Charlo, yeah, it's a name. Like you said, it's a name. But again, when you really look into it, Charlo's not a super middleweight. He hasn't fought in 2 years. Is there a reason why Canelo's targeting that? He's a name, but he has an asterisk on him, right? And like I said, like I mentioned, man, looking for fights against Badu Jack and trying to drain him 20 pounds. When you have David Benavidez in your in your division, I mean, I'm not saying these fights are easy to make, but who knows? Maybe we will get Canelo Benavidez when all the smoke clears, and that's what I want. But it's just made me kind of really look at how Canelo goes about his business, and like you said, he's one of the faces of boxing, and he's.
But you got to also look at your sources. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you got to look at where you're getting your information.
Yeah,
and if it's not coming out of the horse's mouth, it's hard to believe until it's written up and signed and sent off. So like that's just the person I am. I don't like to believe the hype a lot of the times. Like if I hear it, directly, then it's like, okay, I can take your word. But when it's a lot of social media stuff or press that aren't credible, it's hard to for me to develop an opinion on it unless I really know the
you're
facts.
right. I agree with you. But we did hear from Badu Jack's own Twitter account what he said and the stipulations that Canelo wanted him to agree to. And did you see that, Bad Chaz?
Yeah.
What was it that
he wasn't real pleasant with it. You know what I mean? He just kind of thought it was kind of far-fetched. He wants to fight him. Canelo wants to fight him in his division, so he wants him to come down all this weight, and he's up there in years too, so he kind of sees what's going on and sees the writing on the wall, and he just denied the offer basically. But kind of going back to what you said about maybe it will happen. I mean, think about it. When we start talking about Bud and Spence, like look at all the anticipation that pours into it. And then I mean, we kind of got stalled out on that fight, and then I mean, look at here it is now. It's finally getting made. But do you think that it getting weighted? Do you think that it raised more money? Do you think that, this is one of those situations where it's like, hey, we're not avoiding it, but if we can just, create more anticipation, or it'll come when it's right, and money talks and bullshit walks. And that could be the situation too, you know what I mean? So, I mean, maybe they're just kind of, avoiding each other until they both get what they want on both sides. And I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I like what you said, to what they both want on both sides, because that's what I'm for. And you know what? Yeah, Badu Jack said that. Okay, well, let's hear Canelo's side. Let's hear both sides of the story. Let's just don't take one. You know what I mean? Right. And once we get both sides, then we can. That's when I, inform an opinion on it. So, but like you're right. I would like to see. We all want to see Canelo Benavidez. That's the fight to make. That's what we want to see. But we're not Canelo Alvarez.
Right.
And we're not holding those titles. We're not. We can't. Form those type of fights. He can. Yeah. So we'll see. But again, I'm pretty optimistic, man. Yeah. And I want to see that fight. But again, if not, like I said, I was kind of like, I'm not saying bashing Canelo, but there were certain things that I was like scratching my head with too. But like I said, if I'm there that weekend, I'm going to that fight. I don't care who it is, man.
Even Triple G4?
I don't care who it is, even if it's Jake Paul, man.
Jake Paul.
But on the flip side of that token, this whole stall, or this Canelo submitting these offers are getting denied. Then you have Benavidez over here and works or talks in discussion with David Morrell. And when I heard that, I thought, man, that's a badass fight.
Yeah.
I want that. I'm all in. that sounds more entertaining than anyone else. And I mean, man, that just says risk reward and just that's pure boxing. Like
That's legacy.
That's
man.
legacy.
Yep.
Like and you know what, man? If that fight got made, that would be an excellent fight. And I think fans would be tuned in from everywhere.
Yeah. That would be such a fire fight. Benavidez, while they wait for Canelo to make up his mind, or like we said, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and you're right, but just knowing Canelo's track record, or record, of rehydration clauses and catch weights, it's not far fetched, what we're hearing. But from Benavidez, I think they're trying to target, if they don't get Canelo or Morale Jr., like you mentioned, maybe even a fight with Jaime Munguia. I believe I read, but like I said, the sources, that's the hard thing. Like I read it, I'm like, man, it's hard to bring concrete information to you guys, because next day it's like, oh, that wasn't true, or
Right.
They
But
didn't
again,
come-
they're good fantasy matches, man, and
Right.
that's what we're all
Right.
about. Is
Yeah.
just those fantasy matches. Dude, we all want to see that, man.
Yeah, I guess the point is us as boxing fans and people that's that we support the sport, we want to see the fights that we want to see. And right now, Canelo is negotiating all the fights that me personally I don't want to see. Right. So I guess that's the point. But let's just have a little fun here. What are 2 acceptable fights? And I'll ask both of you guys for Canelo. If it's well, let's just put it 2 names that you would like Canelo to fight.
Benavidez is my number one.
Okay, if not him, what's the backup?
And then Charlo.
I like that. How about you, Ben?
Same here. Yeah.
I think, yeah,
David Benavidez first and foremost, and then go from there. I mean,
You know what? Instead of Charlo for me, but those are good. Charlo's a name. I would love to see that too. I think I would put Munguia. If it's not David Benavidez, why not Munguia? Right, an all Mexican, battle. That would be a great fight. Jaime Munguia is a super middleweight at 168. So,
That's
so
possible,
Those
too.
those are acceptable fights for me. But like I said, because we vote with our money, man. If like I was telling you earlier, man, if Canelo fights like who, I don't think I'm gonna plunk down to watch him, unfortunately. But like I said, it's all hearsay right now, or we gotta wait to see when the smoke clears what Canelo actually does. But like I said, I hope that he actually does indeed fight David Benavidez, if not in September, hopefully in May of next year. That would be awesome, because it's just a legacy fight for him. It only adds to his.
I see it
resume.
happening, dude. Yeah, that has to happen.
It has to happen. We say that, but how many fights?
Right.
Should have happened but didn't. But that's all fun to talk about, and that's how we talk about it. Kind of inform you guys of what's going down. In boxing right now regarding Canelo. But good stuff, guys. Appreciate that, and we'll see what fight we get in September. Right. All right, guys. Well, that concludes our podcast. Any shout outs, Neighborhood Hero Riding Reels?
Yeah, I'd like to give Professor Franco a shout out, man. I'm just rooting for you, man. I'm just excited to see this fight. I'm just really hoping that you leave no doubt and you bring home, that title back, man.
Absolutely. Good luck, Professor Franco.
good luck, man.
Bad Chaz, any shout outs, brother?
Oh, you know what? Just our fans, and subscribers and people dropping the comments in the comment
Right,
section. We
yeah.
appreciate it, and just
Keep them coming, right?
yeah, just stay tuned, man.
Yeah, excellent, guys. I'd like to shout out sound guy Rob, cameraman Liam. Thank you so much for all the help that you help us with. And again, like Bad Chaz said, all our fans, comment down below. Who would you like to see Canelo fight in September? Give us something to read. With that said, guys, I am Coach D. This is Bad Chaz and Neighborhood Hero Ryan Reels, and we're out, guys.